Mariners nations and sports fans everywhere. Welcome this evening to my. It's another sports podcast. We're coming up to the end of April. It's an awesome month for sports fans in numerous different genres, events, etc. And I am just pumped to be with the guys right now. Huge shout out to Indy, our amazing producer. Check out Vaden Podcast Services. This guy is one of a kind. He's brilliant. We love him. We rep the Mariners from Nashville to Albuquerque to Lake Stevens, and we welcome y'all from anywhere in between. If y'all didn't know, man, my co host will mess around and get a triple double. What's up, RG?
Cannabis is the ultimate execution of dreams, swinging the guillotine. Whenever the head is severed from the human body with a sharp enough weapon, the brain remains conscious for 10 seconds. Long enough for me to give you one last message, and when you get to hell, you can tell Lucifer I said it. My oh my, it's another podcast, High Talk 24. I'm that dude, RG. Time to go to work.
Let's go, baby. After a really sluggish start to the season, the Mariners out the gate 6-10. They have caught in a little bit of fire lately, 9-3 as of late. What's up, RG?
Man, so we go into a good test of our season to see where we're at against some teams who have had some success over the last few seasons, namely a couple World Series appearances. We go down to Arlington, we take 2 or 3 from the defending World Series champions. Then we have the series this weekend with the runners up from the 2023 World Series. We take 2 or 3 from them. And then now starting tomorrow, for those of you who are listening to us live, this is Sunday, recording of this show. Now tomorrow we start a 3-game set with the Braves, and I couldn't be more excited. Matchup of 2 of the hottest teams in baseball, one of the hottest pitching staffs, one of the hottest offenses. It's gonna be fun. Get your popcorn ready. Shout out to the homie Great Takes Only. Bleacher Report. We was in a conversation earlier today. He's been waiting for this one all season. The return of an infamous Mr. Jerry Kelnick. But I don't expect him to do a goddamn thing. That's why we got rid of him in the first place. What you got, T?
Well, there's better hitters than Jared Kelenic that cannot touch the smoke coming off the fingertips of our unbelievable pitching staff right now. So check this, RG. Our bullpen right now, and this is without elite ascending pitchers like Santos and Brash. The bullpen is first in ERA, we're first in WHIP, and we're first in opponents' OPS. There's a lot of unheralded guys that might not get the pub as maybe Munoz and Stanek. But RG, I am so impressed the way these guys, for the most part, a little hiccup on Sunday, but these guys are coming in and shutting it.
Arizona has a pretty good offense, and for us to keep them before the inning where Gino gets his hit and Cattell Marte gets his, they're 5 for 47 over the whole course of the weekend. So we kept a really good offense from being able to come in and get anything down. A big shout out to the pitching staff. It's almost a little unrealistic that we were going to completely shut them out. Hate the way that it had to go down for us to lose a close game in the late innings. Um, but again, that's just how baseball goes. If you would have told me a couple weeks ago when we couldn't figure out how to do anything right, that you give that 2 weeks for it to pass and we'd be in first place, getting ready to have a premier matchup against one of the better teams in baseball coming into this week. If you're in Seattle, tickets are going to be hot. Get your popcorn, pour up your favorite adult beverage, buy that MLB app if you don't live around the Seattle area, and come cheer us on, man. This is going to be an exciting opening week series for us as we move into the Braves series starting tomorrow. I know we're going to have our boy Miller's getting the ball tomorrow. Miller's going to get the ball tomorrow. Castillo's going to get it on Tuesday, and Hancock's going to get it on Wednesday. They're going to counter with Freed. I'm not familiar with Lopez, who they're starting on Tuesday, and then Chris Sale will get the ball on Wednesday to face up against Hancock. It's going to be an exciting series, an exciting time for us to see exactly where we're at and keep pressing towards maintaining this lead. And man, it's been amazing to see it turn around. Would I like to see a little bit more offense from it? Absolutely. But the bats will come around. Bats will come around. Julio finally got his first home run. Ty France finally got a ball out of the yard. My boy Albuquerque's finest stand-up, Mitch Garver, got himself a home run, and you still owe Josh Rojas an apology for down his ass, man.
I always, and I will gladly apologize. I am happy to be dead ass wrong about Rojas. Everyone knows I was the Rojas hater in that Seawald trade. This guy has maybe been the best offensive player on the team so far this year, certainly the most consistent. We thought that it might be a pretty equal third base platoon with him and Urias. Rojas is getting almost all the run right now, and he damn well deserves it. Just a little bit on the negative note, it looks like Matt Brash has been put out on the
Mm.
injured list indefinitely, and that really sucks. Last year, I was talking about how much respect and how much admiration I had for Brash and his willingness to compete as often as he did. He led Major League Baseball in appearances at 78. But although I had so much respect and so much admiration for that workhorse mentality he was put through, I was also extremely nervous because relievers that pitch that amount in a year almost always suffer a big negative turn from a production standpoint the next season, and it looks even worse that Brash might not even pitch this year. So the bottom line is everyone else in that bullpen is going to have to step up, and the starters are going to have to carry even more water than they already have. And man, they are carrying almost all of it for this team
It
right now.
almost makes me grateful for the position that we're in with Wu, where he's now down in AAA. He's now working on getting himself back up. Maybe we transition him to the bullpen and he can kind of try to help us bridge the gap from where we were with what we would have had with Brash. Um, I know Santos is closely working his way back as well too. Every time that Stanek gets in the game, I'm excited about it. A guy that constantly throws 99, and even watching how Munoz has found a little bit more belief in his slider to go along with that electric fastball that he has. There's a lot of people high on our pitching staff. Even Dontrell Willis was talking about it during the broadcast, saying that he believes that our pitching staff is one of the best, if not the best, in baseball. The proof has been in the pudding. We've been dominating good lineups. We've been keeping people from getting off base. We've been limiting the amount of runs that we give up. It's just the Achilles heel that always comes with the Mariner fan. We need to find a way to get more runs across the plate and stop leaving meat on the damn bone.
Oh, absolutely. Our loss this weekend was 3-2. So even though it hurt that Suarez got the late inning double, and it hurt to see, I believe it was Thornton give it up, we can't be blaming our pitching staff when you got 2 runs on the board. It sucks when you don't come up in the critical time, but more often than not, they are carrying this ball club at times. And I love what you just said though about Munoz and Stanek, that when those two dudes are coming in, I get freaking jacked up, man. You want to talk about two dragons coming in, breathing fire. And I love Munoz. I absolutely love his stuff, but most Seattle fans could agree that at times he nibbles. At times he doesn't go after hitters as much as he should. It feels like Stanek is wearing off on him a little bit. Kind of like, bro, your stuff is so good. Keep it at least near the strike zone because you got some shit that these hitters can't touch. And now that he's kind of taken on that attitude and mentality of Stanek, these dudes are so fun to watch at the end of a ball game, dude.
Well, that's what we were hoping for when you get veteran guys in with some young guys who kind of just need that adult voice in the back of your head to remind you who you are and what you have. And let's make little adjustments to be able to make sure that we come out here and we're just locking down the end of the games. As the season continues to progress, it'll be really interesting to see how much of that he picks up. We'll see when we eventually make the flip that Munoz pitches the eighth and Stanek makes his pitch to the ninth. God forbid we get Santos back and that boy comes out just down. It's a wrap for you guys in the American League West, baby. This might be our year. We just need the offense to catch up. And I also also get too. In baseball, we celebrate guys that hit 290 because it is hard to be able to hit major league pitching, especially nowadays with all these guys with their rocket firearms. I just want to see where we can have a stretch where we can consistently put up 3 to 4 runs a game. Maybe even
Yeah,
4 to 5.
absolutely.
4 to 5 would be ideal. I'm not trying to be greedy. 3 to 4 gets with that bullpen in our pitching staff. 3 to 4 gets us home 9 times out of 10, and I hope somebody can prove me wrong.
Speaking of fire rocket type of arms, our starting pitching staff has been lights out lately. It's honestly unbelievable the way these guys have been pitching. It is so fun when I'm turning on the game and I'm yelling at the TV like a caveman because LG the OG is just pumping it and these guys can't touch it. LG the OG, he's RG's guy. I know I'm getting crazy on that now, but he's been shouting him out for a long time and the proof is in the pudding. He has literally started the season the first month pitching like a Cy Young candidate. This is not hyperbole. The dude has a 2.05 ERA with a point 0.8 whip. You can't touch him. He must be MC Hammer, man, for real. But I'm looking at the starters in totality, RG. The last 13 games, man, 12 of those starts have been 6+ innings. All 13 of those starts have been 2 earned runs or less. In those last 13 games, the starters have given up a 150 opponent's batting average with a devastating 8.8 strikeout to walk ratio and a 2.13 ERA. When you look at that over the last 13 games, bro, every single pitcher in the rotation is pitching like a $100 million man, right?
You mentioned this while we were talking off mic yesterday. It's almost like there's a friendly competition going on between the staff of can you go out there and top that start that I just had? And not that, it's going to be hard to do with some of these lineups that we're going to face coming up later in the year. But just to keep it loose and just to keep the atmosphere around winning and performing is what I happen to like about what they're out there doing. My dude is LG, the OG. I really hope that he's the one who gets it done. But take a look at this. Like you said, he's at a 203 under an average. Miller's at 2.2. Castillo and Kirby's are bringing theirs down from some of the bad performances that they had to be able to start the year. Walks plus hits per any pitch. That whip metric you're talking about. Logan's at a 0.8. Miller's at 0.99. Kirby's at 1.1. Castillo is even down now to 130. So we're getting the production out of them that we need to. They're coming around. They're going to be the ones leading the ship. We talked about that all off season, where our pitching staff is going to be the heart of what carries us through. We just need hitting. I was happy to see Ty come through and hit that home run. Now, you know how I think about it. I don't get caught up in the vacuum moments, and it is only April. I'm happy that he's finding his swing in April. Where we're going to need it at is when the dog days of summer start. I'm okay with Julio getting off to a slow start as far as home runs go for him, as long as he's hitting the ball hard and putting the ball in play. Polanco is going to come around. He's too good of a hitter for it. If we can get a combined effort from both Mitches to help weather the storm, and the guy who looks like he's going to end up being our early season MVP is Rojas right now, just have him keep the hot hand. Big Dumper's going to come through when we need him in clutch moments. I believe that we're set up okay, that we're set up all right. JP's on the IL right now, so we'll give him some time to get healthy and get back. But it's that next man up mentality. We got the players to be able to plug in, to be able to help keep this momentum going, as now we're getting ready to turn into May and begin that press towards the All-Star break already.
Yeah, and I agree with you on Julio. There's a lot of fans and different social media platforms that are really upset or struggling trying to make sense of Julio's production so far this year. And I just don't get it. And partly because this is his third season. So we're starting to gain a track record of this young man. For starters, every single year he started slow at the dish. The difference this year, though, is his first 2 seasons in the league, he had a really, really shitty batting average and very little home run production to start the season. At least he is especially in today's day and age, if you're in the 270s, that's pretty damn respectable in 2024. I would also add that he's still playing great defense out there. Some fans I've noticed are like, "Oh, he missed that one or missed this one." But what I'm saying is guys with a certain level of range will miss certain balls because they can get in the vicinity where most outfielders just can't even get to that landmark deep in the gap that Julio can get to. And why is that important to me? Because if a guy is sucking out in the field while he's sucking at the plate, he's taking those at bats with him out there. It looks like Julio's able to compartmentalize his whenever he's struggling at the dish and is able to get out there and play good center field. But I am concerned overall with the lineup. We got too many guys underachieving, and as awesome as our pitching is, you said it. We're not asking for them to all of a sudden be the 1995 or 1996 Mariners. We just need these guys to be kind of decent, maybe get to middle of the road. But right now, we are kind of in the dumps in every worthwhile hitting statistic as a team.
We still strike out a lot. Julio with 37, Polanco with 33, Raleigh with 32, Haniger with 30, other Mitch with 27. I like how we just call him other Mitch too. That's just anyway, I've digressed. I've digressed. We still have playing with the number screen here. We still have a few guys hitting below the Mendoza line, and I do expect that to be able to turn around, especially with the talented hitter as Polanco is. But that's just kind of what par for the course for the Mariners is. If you would have told me that us getting rid of Teo and Gino and we still can't find a way to have less than 8 strikeouts a game, just either we're missing something when we get up to the plate or the other team pitching is just as good as ours is. I'm hoping that is more a flaw in our ability to be able to perform than those guys just up there not being able to read pitches at a major league level.
Yeah, it's really tough to watch sometimes too. RG, I'm just gonna ask you right now, what team do you think has the worst strikeout percentage in all of baseball right now?
Worst strikeout percentage in all of baseball.
You listed off some guys that are whiffing a lot.
Sure did. Mm, just because Schwarber leads the league in strikeouts right now, I'll just say the Phillies. I'll just throw that out there.
Bro, the Seattle Mariners literally have the worst strikeout percentage in all of baseball right now.
I was hoping it wouldn't be us.
Man, I love up on this team as much as anybody, but the facts are the facts. And I struggle with that one too because this offseason was about getting guys that can put the ball in play more often. And clearly that's not happening. Maybe it's you talk about maybe we are too concerned with launch angles and some of the advanced metrics of hitting nowadays. And I could easily see that being the problem. And it might just be an organizational thing that what the approaches that they want their hitters to have lead to tons and tons of strikeouts. That doesn't mean I want to fire Jerry and his staff because these guys are literally as good as it gets in developing pitching, and that's so hard to do. It's so hard to get young pitchers to pitch at the level that our dudes are. But man, it's concerning, RG. It feels to me no matter who comes in here, we start whiffing like crazy.
So we're not firing Jerry? I'm out of here. Nah, not everything can be his fault. The Mariners with 288 strikeouts on the year. The next closest team to us is the A's with 284. Red Sox with 280. Red with 279. Rockies with 277. Three of those teams to be on that list. I didn't expect us to have that this high of a total with getting rid of two guys that have 400 strikeouts combined between them last year. But baseball stuff, man. Baseball stuff. Yes, I always call it Safeco. T-Mobile's a tough hitting park. Some of these guys have some good stuff. So I just don't know who to give the blame and where to place the credit. If it's us being completely fooled up there, pressing too hard, trying to do too much, or other pitching staffs just having electric stuff and just tipping your cap to the guy on the mound and just trying next time you get up there.
Yeah, I get that too. And we do got to tip our caps to the opponent's pitching because as much as we toot the horn of our pitchers, the stuff that the average pitcher is putting out there nowadays is absolutely unbelievable. So we got to take that into account also. One of the stats that made me crazy last year was the Mariners were terrible with runners in scoring position and terrible with guys left on base, or actually ninth fewest left on base per game this year, but we also have the 25th worst average and the 26th worst on base percentage. So that's really just skewed to we're not getting guys on base right now at a consistent rate. And then I'm thinking to myself, well, how can we fix this? As fans, we look to Tacoma a lot of the time. Well, is there anyone out there balling that we can bring up? Well, the guy that was clearly playing the best baseball was Clase. He's already up here. And I'm looking through the list of guys in AAA, and nobody except for Clase and Sam Haggerty gives me any reason to think that anyone besides those two should be brought up to possibly help the offense. Haggerty's at 333 though right now. We know he brings tons of speed and versatility, but they brought Rivas up. Maybe that's just because they don't think Haggerty can play shortstop. I'm looking at Cade Marlowe at AAA, and he's only hitting 242, but he's a weird cat to me, man, because when we brought him up last year, he didn't have very good AAA stats and then played some decent baseball for a little bit. This is basically a long-winded way of saying we need to let these major league players ride it out. Polo and Garver, especially, have too long a track records to give up on them. And hopefully, Rayleigh can get it going as well. Because clearly, we have a World Series quality pitching staff right now, but this offense is holding them back from even getting to 90 wins at this point. So we really need our hitters to come through in a bigger way, or else, like you say, we might have a lot of Felix games.
When you look at the lineup we rolled out today, pardon me. When you look at the lineup that we rolled out today, our three hitter is hitting 163. The guy in the five hole is hitting 143, followed by a guy hitting 196. Then you got Clase with his limited action. He's above the Mendoza line. And then a backup catcher in today. You definitely don't want to see that in the heart of your lineup as we're moving forward. Now, I understand that some guys had some days off today. Cal is hitting above the Mendoza line. So, we're going to figure it out. Like I said, you just got to give these guys a chance to keep riding. We're still in the first half of this. We're still at the first half of this run, not even to the quarter mark yet. Still have a chance to, as the number you've been giving out, let's get 25-25. We're in first place. As bad as some of these aesthetics have looked, we're still playing good ball and we are in first place. I guess these are good problems to have as we're complaining about moving forward because we're not talking about us performing this way and then still at the bottom of the barrel looking up at the A's and the Angels. So I'll take where we're at.
Oh, yeah, damn right. And a lot of my friends will tell me my 25 and 25 theory is whack. And they always tell me you got to have a little bit higher expectations than that. But the point for me is you just need to be in the mix at the quarter or the third of the way through the season, then really start going. I've said this countless times. We've seen countless teams, hot starts, terrible finishes. The 2019 Mariners are the best example of that. I just want to circle back really quickly though and really give our starting staff some flowers for these last 2 weeks of baseball because we touched on LG and Bryce Miller. Now we know Castillo and Kirby both had really bad starts for them, their first two starts each. Now I'm looking Castillo's last three starts, he has a 2.0 ERA. Kirby, his last three starts, he has a 1.0 ERA with a 12.5 strikeout to walk ratio. It's like he's playing a video game out there. And then I
Boy was
want
dealing last night, wasn't he?
to oh my god.
Boy was dealing last night, wasn't he?
You were doing the strikeout counter on our group text message, bro, and it kept zzz, zzz, zzz. And then every time I looked down, it was another K. I couldn't believe that shit. It is so fun to watch a guy deal. I'm glad I don't have to face those guys because Lord knows my confidence would be shattered. And speaking of that, dude, let's go back to at Milwaukee. I think it was Hancock's second start. He got annihilated so bad, I was worried that they might have to send him to AAA to get his mind right. This dude has mental toughness and is full of piss and vinegar, like I love. And after that, what, 9 or 10 runs in just like 2 or 3 innings, he's had 3 straight quality starts and a 2.0 ERA since that outing. Love the mental toughness from Emerson Hancock to bounce back from that terrible performance. Great job, bro.
Sometimes you're the hammer, sometimes you're the nail. And he definitely came in with the mental fortitude after being treated like the nail up there in Milwaukee and has come out and performed. And what more can you ask for a young guy in his position who's still getting adjusted to life in this new level of athleticism?
Yeah, totally. And I actually want to go back. You mentioned it really quick, and we just start, doing the give and go so quickly. We sometimes bring up great topics or great sentences, and then we're just moving with each other and we don't even realize it. But you brought up Brian Wu is coming back pretty soon, and you're thinking possibly the bullpen. I feel he would be a waste in AAA. Tell me what your thoughts on that are.
I want health. I want health. I big proponent of that. And that was my biggest worry about us in the offseason is us not being healthy enough to be able to have the time to gel into a cohesive unit moving forward. And then a injury derailing the train, no pun intended, to the people in eastern Arizona and western New Mexico who are kind of suffering with the train derailment right now. But uh, I just want him healthy. I think that he has the talent and the ability to come out and perform when he does get back into the rotation. I just want him to be healthy. That's all I want for all these guys. You, a healthy you out there giving me your best effort. I'll take that. I'll take that 6 out of 7 days of the week. And the more we can get that ball rolling with consistency, I think we're going to be fine.
Yeah, I agree. The health is really key though. The last thing we want to do with a young pitcher like Wu is race him back too quickly and maybe he does some serious damage to his arm. We know that he had Tommy John in college and has had relatively limited experience at very high level baseball due to injury. I just always felt that he could be a Matt Brash type in the pen. I'm sure that he wants to start. There's more money as a starting pitcher, but at a certain point, you got to get in where you fit in. And these dudes are balling out in the starting rotation. Maybe he's a spot starter. Maybe he does go to the bullpen, add some reinforcements because we have some flame throwing studs that are injured right now. But I truly feel that Wu is just too good of a pitcher to be in AAA once he's really ready to go. And you're so spot on. Don't rush him.
At all. At all. At all. Being in a rush to have him back the first week of May isn't as important as having everybody rolling mid to end June, beginning of July, All-Star break, and then the push for the playoffs.
Oh, it has been a crazy couple weeks, man. I wasn't panicked the first couple weeks of this season, but I was definitely concerned. So it's been a really fun couple weeks to see this team get back and rolling. Is there any other Mariners news or tidbits you would want to touch on, man?
For those of you listening to us out of the Seattle area, I hear that you get to go back to a promotion that made me fall in love with the Mariners as a kid. Come get your hair cut like Jay Buhner Knight. And I need pictures on all of our social platforms up on Bleacher Report of how many of you are going to go get that Buhner buzz cut coming up here the next few days.
All right, I want to tell a fun story growing up then to everybody since they're bringing back Buhner Buzz Night. You know, not everyone can make it to the stadium when these things happen, but one of our great
Hmm.
family friends on my road, they started doing our own neighborhood Buhner Buzz Night where just line up all the boys in the neighborhood. He's gonna buzz you, line you up on the porch. We sweep it up, and we're on. But I know that you have an affinity for Jay Buhner, but I just thought that was emblematic of that time. That yeah, we might not be able to get down to the stadium for that, but we're gonna have our own Buhner Buzz Night, just like it.
Sir. Yes, sir. Anything you can do to try to be part of the team from wherever that you're at. I happen to live at the bottom of the map on the completely opposite side of the country from the Mariners. But just whatever you can do to just help yourself be in tune and feel the part like you're a part of your favorite team, whether however they move. I mean, that's to me, that's what being a fan is all about.
Absolutely. Just really, really quickly here, since I found it, Brian Wu had his second start for Tacoma. They are absolutely slow playing him like they should. He's only pitched a six and a third, 2 innings in those two starts, but he hasn't given up an earned run with 11 strikeouts and a .32 whip. I don't think these AAA dudes can handle this guy. I can't wait till he is ready to go because he is like that 12-year-old in little league who's already looking like an 18-year-old, man. These dudes can't touch him.
I can't say I feel sorry for him.
This is the pros, baby. You can't touch it. That's your problem.
Like you mentioned earlier, bring back that hammer dance, baby. Man, coming live to you on Twitch, coming live to you on YouTube. Follow us on all of our socials. My oh my ASAP. Big shout out to the super producer Indy over there rocking with us in Nashville. That's the homie Ty Talks 24. I'm that dude RG. Now I know that Tyler and Indy are really, really big fans of the NFL draft and the way that everything goes to break down, knowing about player stories, knowing about some of the unheralded guys who will have a chance to have their life changed during this draft process. And man, I'm telling you, I was on the road for work this week, and every time someone got ready to got picked that wasn't a big name, they each had like 3 or 4 different stats on what this guy had been up to. And I'm sitting there just like, how do you know so much about these guys who were 2 rounds away from being Mr. Irrelevant? But you know, some people just have that heart and that affinity and that eye for everything. So we're coming off into the NFL draft. We had a pretty good week. No surprise, Caleb Williams, #1 pick, going to the Bears, kind of the worst kept secret in all the sports. Number two, we kind of got some intrigue. You know, there were some people talking about whether it's going to be Dre May, whether it's going to be Jalen Daniels. Jalen Daniels ended up being the pick. Then the fun kind of began with pick #3 here. So, Ty, going in and break down to me what you thought about the first round and the first few picks of the NFL draft from this week.
Well, for starters, I'll just go on a positive. I love how the Bears are trying to support their rookie quarterback. Whether he turns into a star or not, I don't know for sure. I do know he's a very talented young man, and we see so many quarterbacks go to shitty situations and it all falls apart and they're labeled a bust for the rest of their lives. Well, I'm here to tell you that a lot of it is the situation that they're in. RG, I know it's not a coincidence that every single top 5 Jets quarterback ends up sucking. That shit doesn't happen on accident. You got to support your young quarterback. Russell Wilson, if he went to the Browns in 2012, he don't become Russell Wilson, but he went to a team with the best power back in football and a top 10 defense in the history of the league. So I just love how the Bears have a bunch of receivers, tight ends, offensive tackles, and then on the other side of the token, New England Patriots, I sure hope you don't play Drake May soon, because that's the other side of the coin I talk about, man, where the quarterback has so much on their plate that I don't know how you can succeed as a rookie with New England unless they sit him for a year, let him learn and build the team up. Because can anyone name a wide receiver on New England right now? That's the sort of weapons he has to work with.
If this is your first time hearing this, you're about to experience something so cold. This is the return of My Oh My. It's another sports podcast brought to you by Vaden Podcast Services. Shout out to the homie Ty Talk 24. I'm that dude RG. For this next segment, man, we always like to bring in the man who makes us sound like $1,000,000. Super producer Indy rocking with us out of the whole studio in Nashville. Indy, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm excited about the draft, man.
Man, so oh no, man! You and Ty was getting really into it, really in depth with some of the information. So when we left the break, Tyler was talking about the situation that the Patriots are in, man, and just want to get your thoughts, and then we'll keep going down the board here and talking about some of these picks as we keep going today on My Oh My. It's another Sparks podcast.
The Patriots, man. I really feel like they missed an opportunity to fill out their roster and you know address some glaring holes before they spent that high of a pick on a quarterback that's either not gonna see the field for a few years, or is gonna get thrown to the fire in one of the worst situations in the league for a young quarterback.
Man, it's going to be kind of tough, man. Now, did you think that they kind of stuck with the way that Belichick run things, or do you think that Mayo had his hand in how they were looking at prospects and what they were trying to do?
Yeah, I don't think Belichick would have taken May there. Personally, I think he would have traded back if a quarterback was his plan for round one. I think he would have traded back a little bit and probably taken Penix. I I watched the Pat McAfee draft
Oh man.
spectacular, and just you could tell Belichick, he had good things to say about Drake May, but it wasn't the same way he was talking about some of the other prospects. Like, you could just kind of tell whenever he really believed in a guy being able to translate at the next level, and it just didn't seem like because he said like consistency and experience. Those are two things that teams are looking for, and I mean Drake May just doesn't have that much experience, and his college career was inconsistent.
Before I get the homie Ty Talks thoughts on the topic, I was listening to Bomani Jones while I was driving, and he said it was very interesting that the prototype of quarterback that Drake May is, 6'6", big, tall, white guy with a huge arm that can throw it, was sliding down the board in rapid succession. And the guy who in previous drafts everyone would try to stay away from, Jalen Daniels, kept climbing and climbing and climbing and climbing and climbing. I guess this was a very interesting way to look at the development of how these guys just, like I was talking to Ty off camera, and I get that you're physically gifted, but if you don't beat anybody, if you don't have a signature win against a good program who actually has NFL caliber players on the opposite side of the field, I just don't buy any of their hype going into it. Ty, tell me I'm wrong.
No, I hear you. I hear you too. And I'm a guy that usually likes production. And maybe that's partly just because I'm a college football fan. So I like winners. I like guys that actually play really well. I like guys that uplift a program. Now, it's really funny too, because you guys know during the football season, I was so high on Michael Penix Jr. And then I wasn't firm in my stance. RG stood his ground and was telling me, dude, they're not that dumb. Penix is going to go high. And I'm like, well, all of the draft media is telling me he's going to go in the 30s. So that's what I believed. But in my own eyes, all football season, I was like, this dude's going to go high. He took a team that was in complete shambles. They had one of the best 2-year runs that college has ever seen, and watching as much as I have, and I went to that Oregon game with my brother. Sometimes you can see even more from a quarterback in person. The throws this dude makes are so difficult. Lots of college guys are Mike Leach air raid styles where they might be 50 for 60 completions in a game. Fantastic. But there are a lot of dink and dunks, man. This Michael Penix Jr. is firing lasers on the money all over the place, and that's what the NFL is because these DBs are damn fantastic athletes.
I'm not going to toot my own horn here and talk about how I saw the Penix team playing out and that I thought he deserved to be a higher draft pick. Oh, nope. I want to hand it to my own horn there. Absolutely, man. I just thought the dude had talent. And to me, the thing of substance that comes into is how do you perform against other teams that have the same type of NFL style caliber player that you're trying to be yourself? The dude gave it to Oregon twice. And then when the stakes were the second highest to where they ever could have been, a team that went to Bryant-Denny Stadium and handled Alabama, Penix hung 40 on that ass. just, it's just some undeniable performances and getting a chance to listen to him, where they don't do it with Gruden anymore, but they sit down and they break down what the quarterback is looking at. They want him to go through a play. Listening to Penix it sounded like I was listening to an NFL quarterback. I didn't feel that way with any of the other three. I get to play. Caleb Williams has a bunch of cute highlights, but to me, there's no difference between him and Kyler Murray. They're not tall enough to see over the line. It looks like a little kid running in a Yaffle game, and just the ability to be able to throw the ball. That's if that's what you value and that's what you like, be that type of fan. I'm all right with that. I'm not here to hate. I want the dude who's ready to compete at the next level. And I just felt that about Penix all season moving forward, is that he was going to be the guy. And the Falcons saw it my way, even though they gave Kirk Cousins $100 million before they picked Penix. What are your thoughts on that, man?
Indy, take it away. There's a giant elephant in the room in Atlanta right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's crazy how the most pro-ready quarterback's going to the one situation where he's going to have to sit and wait behind an actual like starter level quarterback. I mean, I guess if he went to New England, he probably would have sat and waited because that's a dumpster fire of a roster right now. But like, which crazy saying that about the Patriots because my entire life since I was 7 years old, they've been incredible. So, it's weird downfall for them. But yeah, dude, I just don't understand what the Falcons are doing here. Like, I understand the attraction to Penix because, I mean, he's an exciting prospect. Definitely the most pure passer in the draft of all these quarterbacks. Probably has the highest ceiling. His age knocked him for some people. I mean, it's just weird. It's just a weird situation. It just sucks because either he's gonna have to beat Kirk out, and then the Falcons are gonna have a really expensive backup, or they're gonna have to trade and be in the hole with a whole bunch of dead money. Like it's just a weird situation. No matter how you look at it, and him having to explain the whole thing to the owner, talking about this whole shit. He was doing the hand gestures like, please don't let me be fucked, pretty much. Like, it's just, I don't know. I don't know, man. Weird draft. Weird draft.
I think that pick puzzled everybody, to say the least. The only thing I can really think of is it's like, say you end up going out and you're rich enough to like buy a Maserati or some sort of car like that. Aren't you going to also put a premium and buy the most expensive insurance policy you possibly can. And that's the only way I can even try to rationalize it. And I would also say Kirk Cousins is an older quarterback coming off an Achilles. Maybe, I mean, $100 million to an NFL owner who is the czar of Home Depot, for Pete's sakes. You want to talk about how much money that the Falcons owner has? Like maybe 100 million is just kind of the cost of doing business, and they're just so sick of their horrific quarterback play the last year or two that they couldn't fathom going back to it. Either way, I would rather get a player and just go all in with Kirk. You gave him 100 million for Pete's sakes, but this is exactly why people watch the draft, because of shocking picks like this.
To me, if they knew that they were going to go Penix that high in the draft, yesterday's price for Kirk Cousins would not have been today's price. But again, those guys are multimillionaires, and I host a podcast with Vaden Podcast Services. So maybe they know a little bit more about it. So who had the worst? Who had the most mind scratching play of the first round? Was it the Falcons or was it the team to the north of me, known as the Denver Broncos?
Oh boy. I'm gonna say the Falcons is more head scratching. I feel Bo Nix is a giant reach at number 12, even though I think he's pretty damn good. That's just too rich for my blood. You're basically paying $2 million for a house that's worth 500K. But desperate times call for desperate measures, and desperate people do desperate things in any walk of life. And when they kicked Wilson to the curb, it feels like they have no quarterback plan in place. And like I said, desperate people do desperate things.
What you got? What you got, Indy?
Yeah, I mean it's definitely the Falcons for sure. Definitely the most head scratching. But the Penix one is, or the Bo Nix one is a little weird. So it's a little bit of a reach. 12's picking the draft for Bo Nix. It's kind of crazy. I mean, his ceiling to me isn't as high as all the other quarterbacks, but his floor is a lot higher than I'd say like Drake Mays or Jaden Daniels, you know. I'd say his floor is probably higher. He's more ready immediately than them, I would say. So I
Man,
see it.
so
And if you
so
figure that the Raiders are gonna go take him too, you kind of just have to like say fuck it and pull the trigger. So it sucks if you're a Broncos fan because you waste that high of a pick on a quarterback may not be that great at the next level. You never know. Instead of filling out your roster some more, getting like the best defensive player in the draft at Dallas Turner, like there was options, you know.
mm,
There's options. The
mm.
Broncos community on Bleacher Report's in shambles. It's pretty awesome.
I love to see it. I love
I
to
love it
see it
too.
all burn down. And I don't even have a reason to hate the Broncos other than I live in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and either you're a Cowboy fan or a Bronco fan, and I like to remind both of them that they just completely suck ass. Now, if you're Bo Nix, you winning. Because 3 years ago you was 8-4 in Auburn, and no one gave a damn about you. And then all of a sudden, you rejuvenate your career, almost take Oregon to the Natty, and then now you get first round NFL draft pick money. I don't know if anybody, I can't even say that Caleb Williams had as good of a weekend as Bo Nix did. Most people go from top 10 to not mention at all. And he went from not mention at all to a top 15 NFL draft pick and secured himself a bag. So I guess I can't hate on the young man for coming up on some paper, but I don't know, Bronco fans. I don't know what to tell you. It'd be interesting to see how this thing plays out as we get a little bit deeper into the season. So both of you being Seahawks fans, give me some info on how you thought the Seahawks did, baby.
I'm jacked. I'm absolutely jacked. And it took me a minute to get there because, as you guys both know, I'm such a big Troy Fautanu fan. And with him sitting there still available at 16, I thought that it was either going to be him or Murphy was going to be the pick. I'm going to go a couple angles here. For starters, premier defensive tackles are getting paid so much money. Even guys that are just really good, like our own Leonard Williams, are signing for like 20 million plus a year. I think Aaron Donald was up over 30. And so just based on the salary cap league, if you can find an interior disruptor like Murphy, have him play on a rookie contract for 4 or 5 years, and if he's kicking ass and taking names, it's just an incredible value. And then before I swing it out to Indy, I just remember I was watching, obviously, that Sugar Bowl with Texas versus UW very closely with my brother and friends, and Byron Murphy just jumped out at everybody like, damn, the hype is real on this dude. What do you think, Indy?
I'm excited. I think we dug down in the trenches, especially interior offensive line. That was huge. Those guys that we got on offensive line throughout the entire draft can play multiple positions. And that flexibility is going to be huge, especially with how many injuries that position unit faces across the league. Like one of the most injury riddled units across the league. It's just so hard to have any consistency at the offensive line this in like recently for most teams. It's tough out there, and I feel like we picked some guys that are grown men, like real grown men out there to fucking hurt people. That's what we need in the trenches. People that are gonna that are ready to fucking bang heads and put their paws on people, and that's what you look for. Can't get much better than that in the places that we pick them. Christian Haynes at 81 is ridiculous. I saw people saying that he could have been the best interior offensive lineman in the draft, going as high as like early round 2. I even saw him mocked to us in late round 1 a few times by some analysts. We got him in the 3rd at 81 overall. That's a steal. Nehemiah Pritchett, that dude is he's one of those like Pete Carroll-esque cornerbacks. So, you get excited about those long, tall, fast guys that are just going to get in your face and impress you. And then DJ James slid to round 6, and he was projected to go in round 2, 3 at the latest. How does a cornerback that's projected to go round 2, 3 at the latest fall all the way to round 6? A 4th and 30 against Alabama. That's how.
Was that him?
Yes, it was him.
Was that him?
That was him.
No shit. I didn't know that.
Yep. That's exactly how.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited about Tyrese Knight. I wasn't as excited at first just because there were people available that I would have preferred, like Jeremiah Trotter Jr. We'll get to him later. But like you pointed out, Tyler, he's everywhere, man. He's everywhere, bro. He was all over the place. I think he led the FBS in tackles and solo tackles. So, that's somebody that obviously knows how to get to the ball carrier. So, yeah, overall, I'm excited.
Man.
How you feel about the Eagles, RG? How you feel about the Eagles? Break it down for us.
First of all, I need to give you a complete disclaimer about me with any draft, whether it be the NBA, the NFL, Major League Baseball, hockey, Miller Genuine draft. I don't give a fuck about the draft, to be perfectly honest with you. With where I'm at with my fandom, I don't get excited about what you did in college. I need you to get out here and perform, and I don't need you to perform for 1 year. I need to be out here to get out here and ball and help my professional teams move forward in their pursuit of championships, because I'm tired of all my professional teams only having a combined 2 championships throughout the whole course of my life, compared to being friends with Bulls fans who got 6 who they don't even know what to do with anymore because it's been so long since they had Jordan, and Patriots fans who just got lucky and fell into Wally Pipp getting hurt and then 2 dynasties that lasted 20 years, for fuck's sake. The thing that made me the most happy is breaking Micah Parsons' heart, and for the 2nd straight year in the draft, picking his favorite player. Watching him just completely melt down over how we up there cooking in Pennsylvania made me feel real happy about it. Then the corner that we took from Iowa, maybe Jason Sehorn had that much of effect on the way that people view non-minority corners and safeties, but if the guy can ball, he's athletic, he's tall. I don't know if you've seen some of his highlights from his dunking days when he was playing basketball. The dude's an athlete. So let's give him a chance to get out here and see what he can do. And like was alluded to earlier, whether you want to call it nepotism, the stars aligning, the just breaking your two hearts watching Jeremiah Trotter come back to the only place he should have ever been, baby, representing that gang green. Y'all was hoping he would have ended up there with them pigeons flying around in Lumen Field, but no, baby, he came to gang green to be just like his Pro Bowl daddy. And I'm excited for it. And really, for someone who doesn't put that much stock into the draft, just because I think it's unfair to ostracize everything about these grown men being ostracized by people who, if we broke down their journalistic skills, we could tear them apart all day. But it was good to see us address some needs that we have. You do have to address them with the unproven players, but they're better than what we have, and just hoping that they can come in and add. I would like to see it right away, because I've already been talking shit in our group text about how the Eagles are going to come back and get that Super Bowl back from Patrick Mahomes, just like we got the one back from Timothy Brady.
Well, you got to beat Drew Lock first, man. Shit.
That's all right. Just remind me how the rest of that season played out for you, just because you got your Monday night Super Bowl.
For y'all that might be figuring it out right here, we have a my NFL rivalry, and it's starting to get good. It's starting to get fun, and it's real, man, because I don't like the Eagles anymore. And they used to be a team I could ride with at least now and then. Now it's like, oh, hell no. But realistically too is, so it's not like I'm any draft analyst or anything like that. But when I look at teams that I think had a good draft, I'm just trying to match team needs and perceived good players. And the Eagles did exactly that. I mean, at pick 22 and pick 40, you could argue they got the two best DBs in the entire draft at 22 and 40. Holy shit. Talk about value there. The running back, I think they got in the 4th or 5th round, Shipley from Clemson. He is never going to be a bell cow, but I will put my stamp on he'll be a good third down back. And as long as you can find a guy that can play a winning role in the mid to lates, very successful pick. Of course, we touched on Jeremiah Trotter Jr., the perfect pick. He's a great value in the 5th round. And of course, Eagles fans are elated to have the son of a Philadelphia pillar. And I just wanted to touch on 2 5th-round picks from both the Seahawks and the Eagles that made me pumped up as just an NFL fan in general. It's going to look extremely weird and very awkward at first to see the new kickoff rules, because they're doing that XFL thing where the guys are like 10 yards apart. But the kick return is coming back, and we sorely missed it. There's such incredible dynamic athletes at the NFL level returning these kicks. And Nehemiah Pritchett, the cornerback from Auburn that the Seahawks picked, and Aeneas Smith, the wide receiver from Texas A&M, picked in the 5th for Philly. When I was just reading about them, they both profile as dynamic returners, and that's probably how they're going to be able to make a roster as a late pick rookie. So that just made me pumped up, because I want to see kick returners back in the game.
Watch a highlight of Devin Hester from the late 2000s. There's no way you can't watch something like that and just be excited about it. Anybody telling me the last kickoff in NFL in the Super Bowl history be returned for a touchdown? Devin Hester versus the Colts.
Yeah.
Versus the Colts. Now, I extra hate Devin Hester now because Indy's from the U. And, oh, man, my cat made a special appearance, old Nala, back there, the baby of the house. Yeah, you got to give it up to that dude. It's a very exciting play, and we'll definitely see how the new rules go. I've always been a proponent of they got pads out there, let them get hit. I definitely understand that they're trying to keep down on some traumatic injuries happening during this particular play, but they let Philly do the tush push for fuck's sake. So I guess I don't understand the difference between the two. But hey, again, I'm just here on the podcast rocking with you. I will throw this out there for my last thought about it. I thought one of the coolest moments I saw was between Jared Verse and Brandon Fisk. Both played for Florida State. Verse was picked first by the Rams, and he happened to be in the war room where they were going to pick his college teammate, and to watch both of them talk on the phone, to have that moment of, we were just on a bus pissed off together that we weren't going to get a chance to play for a national championship. We've been in these dorm rooms, we've been putting in work, and now me and you get to continue this relationship that we started on the defensive side of the ball, now in the pros. And to watch how they both became emotional talking to each other about the success that they had. I thought that was pretty cool to see. And if there's one thing I do enjoy about the draft, is to see moments like that. I can even go back to the NBA draft a couple years ago when Kobe White got picked, and he's sitting there doing his interview, and another guy from North Carolina got picked, and Kobe just breaks down in tears just because they're so, you went from grinding every day to a guy when that you guys were wondering how you were going to be able to do some of these dreams and live out your futures, and now you're going to get a chance to eat together. I just think that that's amazing, dude.
I love it. I love it. It's the human side of things too. You're so right, because I also just look at it is it's changing the economic status for so many people potentially, and uplifting lives that might have been really hard. And so the human aspect is really fun. And just on a light note, RG, I was thinking to myself, and then you brought it up before I could even spit it out. Are the Rams going to be your second favorite team now, since they went Florida State D lineman back to back to start off this draft?
No, fuck the Rams. Any team during my childhood that beat the Eagles in the NFC Championship game to keep us from going to the Super Bowl, fuck them. So hate the Rams, hate the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, hate Carolina. I hate I hate the Arizona Cardinals. Yeah, fuck them all.
Fair enough. Indy, the Los Angeles Rams took a running back out of Michigan who I know is one of your favorite players. And I have a pit in my stomach because I don't want to face that dude twice a year.
Let's hope to God that Mike McDonald solves our run defense issues, because if it doesn't get any better, it's going to get a lot worse. Like, let's just say that. Because Kyron Williams already, monster.
Absolutely.
Now we have to deal with Blake Corum twice a year as well on the same team, plus those two Florida State defensive linemen. Right after Aaron Donald retires, they just, he just turns into two more beasts, essentially. Fuck. And Marvin Harrison Jr. over there in Arizona. Fuck. Ricky Pearsall.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of talent in the NFC West right now. Hopefully we can keep up.
Who's that knocking at my window? Fourth place finish in the NFC West for the Seahawks.
Nah.
It's going to be fun.
Hey,
it's going to be
Geno
fun.
Smith can lead us to 18 wins in 2 years with the worst defense in the league. If we can just be, I feel like the Mariners and the Seahawks are together right now for me. If the Mariners offense can just be if the Seahawks defense can just be we'd be going a couple places, but we got to get out of the bottom mud and kind of get back to respectability here.
I can only ride with that statement because it includes the Mariners. I hope the Seahawks end up back at Walmart buying great value. That's right, homie. Man, I hope Twitch deleted that one too.
I don't know if they will with that one.
Man, sitting here rocking with our super producer, Andy, Ty Talks 24. I'm your boy, RG. This is My Oh My. It's another sports podcast. Ty, it's an exciting time right now. Not only is baseball sitting and rolling, we just had the NFL draft, but two of my favorite playoff situations that also go down at the same time of year every year between NHL and the NBA. My Washington Capitals are on the brink of elimination tonight against the New York Rangers, but I don't know. I don't know if we want to dig too deep into that, but what we do want to talk about with y'all tonight here on the podcast is some NBA basketball, and kind of talk about how the playoffs have been going on, and if we are at the brink of a changing of the guard that is long overdue here in the NBA. I know Andy's going to have some thoughts some things that he likes. My man Ty already got the stats and the information for it. So I'm going to go on ahead and throw it up to the Northwest and start with you, Ty Talks 24. What you got, baby?
Well, some of my best friends will crucify me for talking NBA because it's real. Some of these guys up here that love hoops don't want a part of it still. Our beloved Sonics moving after, God, I don't know, near 30 years of basketball. For the longest time, they were our only champion. But Andy sends this text to us telling us, hey guys, I think it's kind of the end of an era. And I'm thinking about it. That's our era, RG. All of our age NBA players are either already retired or there's only a handful of the dudes left. So, Andy, thanks for making me feel old as shit, man. I'm just trying to hang out here with LeBron saying that us 39-year-olds can still kick it. We ain't old yet. So, you need to start recognizing that there's a little you still in these old bones that can barely move right now.
Man, it must be nice to get to
Hey,
hold on
I
to that.
respect it.
I got kicked out of the 30 club last year. Now I'm part of the 40-ounce crew. Now I'm part of the 40-ounce crew. But yeah, man, Ty, what you got? I mean, my bad, Andy. I'm gonna shout it out to you, man. So, what you think, man? You're the young guy in the room. Do you think that it's a positive or a negative that some of the stars who have carried the NBA from the transition of what they call the Kobe era into the last, we'll call it 10 years of professional basketball? Do you see this as a good or bad thing?
I'd say it's a good thing, and I'm not old, but I'm not super young either. I'm 28, so I remember vaguely when LeBron was coming out of high school. Like I remember it just being a big thing. I wasn't paying attention like that. I was 10 maybe. But it's been a while, man. It's been a while, and he's had one of the most spectacular runs from an athlete in the history of any sport. And it's been a privilege to witness someone as great as LeBron play basketball, play a sport, and just carry himself you know, like a professional from the moment he stepped on the court when he was still a kid as a professional basketball player until whenever he does hang it up. It'll be cool to potentially see him play in the NBA with his kid too. That would be honestly, that'd be fucking awesome to see. Like a Griffey moment. But I mean, I think there's exciting young
Man.
talent. And I don't think we're going to be witnessing some dramatic drop off in talent whenever guys like LeBron and KD and Steph and James Harden and these guys decide to start hanging it up. I don't think we're going to see some dramatic drop off in talent. I think what we're going to see is a bunch of guys fighting to be the guy that they describe this era as, like the next. It's a bunch of guys that want to be the next Kobe, the next LeBron, the next Jordan. They want to be the one that defines the era, and I think we're in an exciting time. I think it's going to be good for the game of basketball, for viewership, for all of that, to see these guys fighting to be that defining player for a generation.
Yeah, man. There's definitely some new killers and some new blood out here swimming around in these waters, coming out here to just kick ass and take names. Now, Ty, you said something interesting because I've never thought about it like that. How I would feel about a professional sports league who, to me, did my city wrong and took a piece of my heart and moved it to the Midwest for no apparent reason other than financial gain. But I guess if you live in Oakland, you're about to experience that with 3 teams now with 2 teams that played in stadiums that are right next door to each other. Now that place is about to become vacant. Or even what it would be like to be Indy, who lives in a city where 2 teams opted to move to. And now you have a chance to experience professional sports just going out of your house and down the street. Is there anybody you like in the NBA, Ty, or is the feeling in the Pacific Northwest, nah, fuck them bums?
I love basketball. I am a 5'6" sharpshooter. So Lord knows I ain't mixing it up. I'm going to sit in the corner, let everyone else do work. But hey, I'm going to try my ass off and I'm going to knock down shots. But you're so right. Myself and everyone else included, we get really frustrated when people want to make these all-time Thunder lists and we see Gary Payton and Sean Kemp on that shit. Nah. Those guys are Sonics. They ain't Thunder. And now I'm looking at the playoff bracket. The Thunder are destroying the Pelicans as the number 1 seed. And it's so emblematic of the youth movement you're talking about because all these guys are super young. You got Shy, you got Chet Holmgren. I don't even know most of the dudes on the team because RG, when we were growing up, the college basketball produced stars. And so when they would get drafted, we knew almost all of the young stars immediately because we saw them kicking ass and taking names in the March Madness tournament. Things are a little different now. Guys go overseas, they go to the G League, etc. So we don't have that automatic connection. You got to kind of grow to like them. Just from a basketball standpoint, because I still like it, I kind of like the Mavericks odd couple in Kyrie and Luca. It doesn't make a ton of sense to me. I think if just in my personal opinion, if I want to make a dynamic duo, I want 2 different skill sets, like maybe Jordan's scoring and ferocity and with Pippen and his all-around game, or an even better example is Kobe and Shaq. But hey, maybe the Mavs can make it work with 2 similar guards. But RG, I want to throw it down to you in the low block. The series I'm looking at that might be the most emblematic of passing the torch is the T-Wolves are up 3-0 on your Phoenix Suns. Yes, Sonics fans, we still cheer for Kevin Durant because he was one of our guys as a teenager, for Pete's sakes. Just tell me what you're thinking about that Suns T-Wolves series because I'm shocked, but maybe I shouldn't have been.
This isn't a passing of the torch moment to me. This is an all-out ski mask and hoodied up with the Drago out, and we're coming running in your fucking door and taking everything that you got right out. And we don't care what cameras are around. We don't care if you got a ring. There ain't shit you could do to stop this. Anthony Edwards has turned into young Michael Jordan incarnated. Just coming for you, and talking shit to you the whole time. The thing about the Suns isn't so much about us being a part of the passing of this torch, because we haven't won anything. A finals appearance with a young team on the precipice of winning a championship, and to just completely destroy that team and tear it apart in an effort to go out and get Kevin Durant. I never thought I would be disappointed in having Kevin Durant on my basketball team. But I sit here, April 2024, last Sunday of the month, completely pissed off that we tore apart everything that we had to go get Kevin Durant to be a part of this basketball team. Now, we mentioned this changing of the guard, and we are a couple of days away from Steph being home. KD might get swept tonight. LeBron's down 3-1, even though he did LeBron things and had a 30-point game in a closeout game, which is a staple of his career. Harden and Westbrook have nice regular season stats, but they don't do shit in the playoffs. You got the boys in Boston who look like they may be able to get it done this year. Jokic and Murray look like they might go on a run and have a couple years of dominance. You got Giannis. Even though Luka looks like he is because he's been playing professional basketball since he's been 13 years old, he's only 25. You got SGA out there in Oklahoma City / we used to be the Supersonics. You got Tyrese Halliburton, who had a chance to be a son, but we fumbled the bag and fucked that up. You still got, even though their series isn't getting any pub, it's the what they call the NBA TV special. You still got Donovan Mitchell, still got Darius Garland. You got a Seattle boy, Paulo Banchero, out there playing for the Mavs. You got Wagner. The league is in pretty good hands. And just the takeovers coming because these young dudes are out here. Like I said to you guys off mic, we're no longer in the AAU banana boat days where these guys just want to go out and hang out and be friends after it. Nah, they're coming for your throat. They're coming for everything you got. If Zion can find a way to battle his health issues, and if Ja Morant can play basketball and stop trying to be a thug, just we're in a very exciting time with some very exciting talent that's going to help take the league into a stratosphere that I don't even think this generation before it could, just because of the camaraderie between them. They didn't want to really hurt your feelings. New cats don't give a fuck. They just coming after you every single night in every single way that they can. They more have the competitive aspects of the way that they play ball that was more like Jordan. Kobe was good. Kobe was a killer on the court. But even Phil Jackson said that that's where it stops. Jordan wanted to kill you on the basketball court. Jordan wanted to kill you running stairs after practice. Jordan wanted to kill you driving up and down the street. Jordan wanted to kill you on the golf course. Y'all could be playing rock, paper, shoot. Jordan wanted your throat. The aspect of anything that was me versus you, Jordan wanted you. And that's kind of the way that these new guys are just playing. They're not here to They're not here to give you your flowers. They're not here to let you take your award tour. They're coming out because it's now their time to dominate for it, and I'm all here for it. So I definitely am a fan of where we're at with the league. I have something that might be a little bit controversial, but that's what we're here for. We want the smoke. When they talk about the transition from Jordan to Kobe, what I have the problem with is that the first part of Kobe's dominance is him and Shaq. And Shaq is the more dominant of the two. If I'm not there, I don't think anybody out there would debate that. For you to have an era that you can call yours, you had to be the guy to stop other guys from coming to get it. Magic and Bird can coexist in their era because they kept other people from being able to get it. And it wasn't until they got older where Detroit got in and got those two off of them. After we get to 2002, it's 2003. The rumblings of Shaq and Kobe having to stand are starting to blow up in the media. San Antonio wins the championship after that. Detroit wins the championship after that. Then San Antonio wins another championship after that. Shaq goes to Miami, teams up with Dwayne Wade. They win a championship. Young LeBron forces Cleveland to the finals. San Antonio wins a championship. Kobe finally gets the Lakers back to the finals, and Boston wins the championship. Other than him having a lot of points and one MVP performance, where is Kobe's dominance that keeps other teams from being able to get it? There's a lot of guys who come up and get rings in that era with it. So then we get to 2009, he keeps Dwight Howard from getting one. We get to 2010, he keeps Boston from having 2 and 3. And that's the last time he's on that stage. I'm not saying he's not a great basketball player. I don't buy the Kobe era. I buy Kobe being the name of the NBA, but I don't buy the Kobe era because too many other guys got trips to the mountaintop while he's supposed to be the dog that keeps them from doing it. Granted, Detroit got theirs on him and Shaq. Just throwing that out there. But I think it's a great time to be a fan of the NBA. I think it's a great time to watch some of these young cats be able to get it down. And we do want to give flowers to the past and some of the guys who brought us some highlights that we'll never forget. And with that, I'm going to throw it back to Ty.
Man, you left a lot of food on the table there, bro. The one thing I'm gonna push back a little bit when it comes to, I kind of call it the Kobe Shaq Duncan era. You're right. I can't put one name on it. To me, it's the Kobe Shaq Duncan era because those two teams dominated that shit at the time. Is there a possibility that just the sheer number of great basketball players on planet Earth was at a way higher number in the 2000s compared to the 80s and 90s? And then how I feel about this current era. I wish there was maybe a little more defense game to game in the regular season, but there's no way I could say that worldwide there isn't a bigger talent pool overall of basketball players for NBA teams to choose from. That I think maybe in the Kobe era there was more of like a larger amount of viable teams compared to the 80s and the 90s per se. But just totally flipping the script here. I'm just looking at the NBA from a business, and the Villanova Knicks as a number 2 seed taking it to the
I love it.
76ers. That shit's great for the league. The Knicks have been pretty much bad, dude, since we were kids, man, in the Patrick Ewing days. And for them to rise up and to have a hell of a squad, and yeah, they are the Villanova Knicks because the first 3 players I think of are from a Villanova championship team. And so,
Josh Hart, DiVincenzo, Jalen
yeah,
Brunson. Or, could you imagine that being a Philadelphia 76er fan today? And like you said, the Villanova Knicks come in with these 3 kids who play college ball down the street and just coming in there and running roughshod over you. And then even to swing it all the way through, I think they got an inside Villanova cat on the 76ers trying to sabotage shit, and his name is Kyle Lowry. Just Villanova deep in this first series with them. But, I definitely think that once we get to the 2000s, the international boys start making their names come through. Yao Ming, we move forward. We don't mention Yao Ming's name. Tim Duncan technically is not he's from the British Virgin Islands, if I'm not mistaken. Then his 2 running parts after 2003, when Robinson retires, one's from France and one's from Argentina. And then we have that thing in that blimp on the screen in 04 where the Americans don't win the gold medal in the Olympics. And that's where I really think everything just started falling apart. Well, I can't say falling apart, but that's where the influx in international really began. We've had non-Americans number 1 picks. You got who might be the best basketball player on the court today. Jokic is just a guy with no vertical. The best basketball player on the court in today's NBA. You got Wembanyama. Just a lot of these guys that are getting picked who don't even come to college to play. You got Luka Doncic. We were talking off mic earlier. Maybe they need to do the format that the rookie game has gone to, and the All-Star game, to put some interest back in it, needs to be USA versus the world. And the world might have some ballers, y'all. Once you look at the Giannis, could you imagine having to put up with that? Just let him come into his own, and that starting 5 is Jokic, Giannis, Wembanyama, Luka,
Shai Gilgeous,
Shea
he's a Canadian.
Gilchrist Alexander. He's Canadian.
Yeah.
Jamal Murray, Canadian. Just that be some crazy shit, man. But yeah, man, just where basketball is it's just in a great spot. And I was listening to 7 p.m. in Brooklyn with Mello and the kid Mero, and they were giving Stephon Marbury his flowers for being able to go to China and make basketball as popular as it is. Just man, it's in such a good spot. It's in such a good spot, and I think that the nature of the competitive level is going to get back to more of, nah, I'm coming out here to bust your ass, then we'll play nice for the cameras, and then we'll all go vacation together at the end of the season. I'm all for the ultra competitiveness of those levels of games coming back to the NBA.
Amen. Amen.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, we want to send a melancholy shout out. We'll transition back to Ty for this. We want to give some loves and some thoughts and some prayers to a former NBA dunk champion. Ty, go ahead and take it over.
Yeah, so in more somber news, I'm sure a lot of people, especially in the Seattle area, know, but Seattle basketball legend Nate Robinson has been diagnosed with the renal disease, which will cause kidney failure. And if he doesn't find a donor and a transplant, this disease will take his life. So I just want to say prayers up to Nate, his family, his kids, and everyone involved. It's more than just a Seattle legend for me. And it's not just because he's a 5'6", three-time slam dunk champion, but my dad went to the same high school that Nate did at Rainier Beach High in South Seattle. It is a hoops powerhouse with several NBA stars that have made it out of that high school. And so seeing Nate play in high school and just the ties to the Matsumoto family, my grandparents live close to the school. And so it just kind of brings me back to my family and missing my dad, my mom, my grandparents, and how that affects your family. So just big, big shout out of prayers and keeping a warrior mentality. When I texted my brother this, he texted me immediately back, "Stay tough, Nate. We know you are." And that's exactly how we'll leave it. Stay tough, Nate. We know that's who you are. And all Seattle basketball fans around the country are praying for you and your family, buddy.
Well said, Ty. Well said. I, I think you guys are blessed up there having such a huge NBA pedigree coming out of your region up there. And even though that they took the team from you, you still have a chance to go out and see some of these players. And have you ever attended the Seattle Open, the pro am up there? They still got that going?
I have not been to the J crossover event, but I have been. There's a few different ones. I have been to H206, as they called it. There's a few different games like that. And that was when Jamal, Nate, and all these other guys were still in the league. And they just had a Seattle Pro basketball game against each other. It wasn't crazy competitive, but it sure wasn't, a walk in the park either. Shout out to Rainier Beach again. My dad took me and my brother to see Jamal Crawford lead the Beach to the state title in the Tacoma Dome. I know you know where that is, RG. But it is
Do.
forgotten hoops hotbed. So another big shout out to the 90s Sonics, because not just in terms of the fandom, but guys like Gary and Sean Kemp, and even though George Karl seems going off the rails on Twitter lately, George, Gary, and Sean had boots on the ground and were extremely instrumental in helping good neighborhoods and bad neighborhoods like make as much as they could out of the situations to help young basketball players take it as far as they can. And so it really is kind of special. And Jamal Crawford is an icon in my household. And he always talks about Seattle as a small city because it really kind of is. It stretches far, down to Tacoma, out towards the Cascade Mountains, et cetera, et cetera. But in the heart of Seattle, there's a few schools, and these guys have been balling for a long time. So just thank you to all of them. And especially, I can't say it enough, prayers up to the Robinson family.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sending our condolences here from Vaden Podcast Services and My Oh My. It's another sports podcast. My man Indy up there controlling the wheels of steel, loving to you live from Nashville. We couldn't do this without you. We thank you for everything that you've been able to do and making me and Ty sound like $1,000,000. I am not shit without my tag team partner in crime. It's a too bad that we live on opposite sides of the country, or we'd come after you the ski mask way. Big shout out to the homeboy Ty Talks, Ty24, Katie Matsumoto behind the scenes, running our socials, helping us do what we do. Vaden Podcast Services bringing this to you live each and every week here on Twitch and on YouTube. Follow us, My Oh My ASP, I believe, is the @ handle. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Twitch. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, MySpace, your local post office, the corner shop, the grocery store, the laundromat. Anywhere you're looking for good content, baby, we're here for you. Once again, Vaden Podcast Services presents one of the hottest news sports programs coming to you live each and every Sunday. My Oh My is another sportscast. In the words of the homie B.I.G., the notorious B.I.G., stay far from timid. Only make moves if your heart's in it, and live the phrase, sky's the limit. We thank you for joining us. We'll catch you next week with an all-new show, baby.